Hi everybody, it's Honest John. Now, I was born in 1949. Segregation was legal. Jim Crow was still in effect. And not just in the South, but all over the country. Black people were technically allowed to vote, but in practice, they faced enormous obstacles. The KKK was active and feared in the South. And as I entered my teens, civil rights history unfolded before my eyes. The movement began to gain momentum. Martin Luther King, Ralph Abernathy, Jesse Jackson, and other civil rights leaders emerged and led marches and demonstrations. There was the bus boycott, the Freedom Riders. But on the other side, there was George Wallace and Bull Connor and others. Peaceful marchers were brutally assaulted by police, and hostile crowds had to be kept back by the National Guard to protect children as schools were being integrated. And I have to say, I've seen great changes and historic changes in my lifetime. And I've seen horrible things too. But led by our Supreme Court, conservatives have decided that racism is over, that it's not a problem anymore, that it barely exists. So basically they're saying that it took less than 100 years to go from Jim Crow to complete and total equality. But here's the thing, since I'm still alive, I think it's safe to assume that many of the cops who beat the marchers in Selma are still alive. That many of the people in that crowd that had to be kept back from the National Guard, by the National Guard, to keep them from murdering the children who were integrating the schools, they're still alive. And the parents at that time, they taught racism to their children, who taught it to their children, who still teach it to their children. And so we have conservatives insisting that racism is dead, even while they send out emails with pictures of Barack Obama with a bone through his nose. Or they question the authenticity of his presidency. And it's telling that as soon as the Supremes ruled against the Voting Rights Act, that the red states immediately passed laws to prevent black people from voting. Obviously, those children who learned racism in their homes have taken their attitudes to governorships in the state legislature. Perfect example. Rand Paul learned racism at his father's knee and now sits in the Senate. So despite the insistence that racism is finished, we are constantly seeing examples of it everywhere, most recently by Cliven Bundy and Donald Sterling. Perhaps one day there will be no racism, but it hasn't happened yet, and nobody who is alive today will live to see it. Thanks for listening.